It is a beautiful afternoon for lacrosse as we join you from the campus of Hofstra University, James M. Short Stadium. Today, Verizon Fios One Sports presents continuing coverage of the Nassau County playoffs. It's a Nassau County Class B championship game. It's the Manhasset Indians, the defending Long Island Class B champs at 15-3. They'll take on the 13-5 Garden City Trojans. And a quick look at the Class B bracket. Manhasset all over Lynbrook, and Garden City able to stifle Southside defensively in their semifinal victory. And with that, we welcome you here again to Hofstra with Rich Donovan. I'm Ralph Bednarczyk. Rich, here we are. It was always a collision course between these two programs. Both teams getting here a little bit differently, and a rematch, of course, of the Woodstick Classic, won in the regular season, late by Garden City. We figure to have a thriller.
Ralph, this is a classic matchup. Clearly the two best teams in Class B. Traditional rivals. It has all the elements for an outstanding game.
And for this Manhasset team, Rich, today they get a big shot in the arm. They get back the services of junior attackman Jack Keogh, who hurt himself late in their quarterfinal victory over Wantagh in a game in which he set a new playoff record with 10 assists.
Those 10 assists are part of a 52-assist season. The verbal commit to Johns Hopkins is banged up, according to Coach Bill Cherry, but ready to go.
And meanwhile, for this Garden City team, it's been a wave of emotions. A number of players in and out of their lineup. And, of course, going through the tragic loss of former great player Ed Blatz. They have been galvanized by that, Rich. They've put it all together and somehow found a way to get back here, led by J.P. Basile up front.
2 goals and 2 assists in the first matchup. He had 1 and 3 the other night against Southside. He's really turned into the quarterback that Steve Fennell hoped he'd be in the beginning of the season. A big, tall, rangy player that can control possessions.
So Garden City and Manhasset meeting for another county championship game. We're coming back to the starting lineups and the opening face-off. It's coming up next on Verizon Fios One Sports. The nation's oldest lacrosse rivalry meets in this Nassau County Class B Boys Lacrosse Championship game. The defending Long Island Class B champion Manhasset Indians battling the Garden City Trojans. Today from Hofstra, Ralph Bednarczyk with Rich Donovan as we look at our starting lineups. The Indians here, they'll be the road team. Jack Keogh back after missing a game due to a knee issue. Matt Gavin, Kevin Mack up front. Kyle Cherry joining Steve Schneider, Jake Miller on the midfield, Chris Battaglia, freshman Edward Arnold, and their senior leader back there, Thomas Clejon, defensively. In goal, here's Brendan Haggerty, a first-year starter, signed a verbal commitment to Villanova, 143 saves in the year, including 6 in the semifinal shutdown of Lynbrook. And the head coach of the Manhasset program, Bill Cherry. Class Act has been a part of this program for 10 years as the head coach, 25 years before that as an assistant to the Hall of Famer Alan Lowe. And today for the Garden City Trojans, John Coughlin, J.P. Basile, and Jamie Atkinson will start on the attack. Kyle Steinbach, Sean Dillmeyer, Tim Schmelzinger will run the first midfield. And defensively, freshman Colin Hart with senior Doug Mangiardo and junior Phil Puccio. Sam Lucchese's taken reins of the position, a senior that is signed with Hobart. 8 stops in the semifinal victory over the Southside Cyclones. And the head coach of the Garden City Trojans out of the class of 1991, Steve Fennell, 10th season, class at Duke, 1995. He is just the 4th lacrosse coach at Garden City High School in its over 80 seasons of competitive play. And today, Rich Donovan, ahead of this county final, let's have a look at your Verizon Championship keys to the game.
For Manhasset, individual matchups both offensively and defensively, and the supporting cast will be key, particularly on a blistering hot afternoon. For Garden City, they're on a winning streak, continue doing the little things that got you here, and they must be able to handle the defensive pressure that Manhasset showed against Lynbrook.
And in this long and storied rivalry, they've also met in the playoffs over the years, going way back. Manhasset just recently becoming a Class B school again, so now it is the 5th time in the last 6 years that they've met in the playoffs. Garden City leads at 12-9, and including last year's thriller in the semifinals, 8-7 in overtime. Rich, you were here for that one.
And that game was end-to-end action, the intensity level. It's a great rivalry, and we've talked about the Woodstick Classic, Ralph, but this is for a county championship. So you're doubling down on the impact and the long-term effect of this matchup. The loser goes home.
And the players in the post-game comments following the semifinals even after the Woodstock Classic. This is the game that you want to play, that you grow up in the community wanting to see on your schedule. You can't wait for it when it's in the regular season. Now it's a league game in the regular season, so it has even additional meaning. And now there's always that possibility where the two teams meet in the playoffs a second time around. So it's truly a wonderful thing for Long Island lacrosse to see this kind of stage, getting a chance to see these two longtime rivals play once again. It was the Trojans that won the regular season meeting, and they have ripped off 10 in a row. The Manhasset Indians come in winners of 7 in a row following that loss on April 30th. But so much has changed. Garden City missing a key piece in their attack. Finn Gibbons, who had a big day, 4 goals. And Coach Stephen L has continued to have to shuffle his deck to get his team ready, but they have both found a way through different paths to reach this B final. Veteran crew, Mike Harrell, Joe Rosenpollock, Ed Wallace doing the honors. Garden City in the home white-on-white uniforms, Manhasset and the orange over navy. Ryan D'Amico there on the left, facing off for Manhasset. And the number 1 face-off man, Kieran Gunn for Garden City. And here's the first ground ball taken by the Indians. And they pick it up with their talented long pole. Ben Sorella had it before it was trout checked out of his hands. And the loose ground ball. And the battle ensues, and finally it will be Thomas Klejon, here the defenseman and senior captain defensively for Manhasset, that is able to outlet to Brendan Haggerty.
No surprise, Ralph, the first 50-50 ground ball, the intensity level, and remember, both teams defensively are coming off outstanding performances. And we have an offsides call, and the ball reverts back to Manhasset.
So the Indians, after all of that, finally will have the first established possession here today. And the very first attack run here, Rich, you notice Jack Keogh does not begin the game on the field from Manhasset. Senior Ronan Garcia, who's been the 4th attackman all year, does get the start, but we are expecting to see Keogh at some point very early on.
Garcia was outstanding in the previous game. And keep in mind, Bill Cherry planned on playing Jack Keogh on extra man against Lynbrook. 2 reasons. 1, there were no penalties, and secondly, Manhasset dominated, so he didn't feel the need to get him in, so he's had an additional 6 days of rest.
And it was a knee tweak, and he was limited in practice. Inside Kevin Mack, this shot is blocked as he crease rolled inside. And a loose and ferocious ground ball will be gathered here by the Trojans. They're in some trouble. Freshman Colin Hart against a heavy ride was doubled up, and Steven Schneider comes away with it for Manhasset, so the Indians getting it back.
Both teams with well-rounded attacks. So, Ralph, in those situations, you've got to turn to the outside and redirect the ball to the goalie, because the intensity level, the quickness of the riding attackman will make it difficult to carry the ball out of your defensive half.
Here is Schneider. A goal and an assist against Lynbrook in the semifinal. He is pushed down, and here comes the first flag. And they're going to get Brian Hefner, the number 1 long stick mini for Garden City. Very aggressive. All Long Island football star.
This is a left-hand alley dodge, and clearly the push and extending your arms, it's a 30-second technical foul. Could have been a 1-minute cross-check, Ralph. And it's very difficult against the alley dodge. You're so tempted to ride the player out, but you have to do it with your stick-up field.
So the Indians, after the long initial scrum off the face-off, they continue to have possession, and it'll be the 30-second call against Hefner. And the man-up unit getting ready to go to work. Manhasset on the year, a shade over 12 goals per game against the schedule they put together, non-league 6th in the county. Against a stingy Garden City defense that's 2nd in the county, only allowing 4.8 per. Jack Keogh here on the extra man. He'll be at the top. Backdoor look, and Schneider's pass may have been perhaps deflected, or it bothered Kevin Mack there on the backside, and it went through him for a turnover.
Great job putting your stick in the passing lane. It blocked the sight line, and clearly Mike Harold on the far side, Ralph, had the officiating assignment this weekend in the Final Four, and well-deserved. We have a 4th official, chief bench official Scott Howell today, so we have excellent coverage by a veteran crew. And again, the intensity level of both defenses, Garden City can't can't relax carrying the ball. Everything has to be done full speed.
That was Ben Sorella again, 2 years starting a long pole, and a verbal to Michigan that's really shined in the playoffs. But here's another overpass, and Garden City right back with the takeaway. Tyler Wukta, sophomore D-Mini, will step in, and finally the Trojans can step into the box offensively. 6 combined turnovers already.
Both Bill Cherry and Steve Fennell must be wondering, this is the county championship game. But a little nerves early on, it's going to happen. And when you talk about the strength of the defenses, there will be a lot of turnovers, but you can't have unforced turnovers like the errant pass we saw. There's enough pressure when you're carrying the ball. Garden City really wants to spread the Indians out so that they're not quick to double.
Here's sophomore Kyle Steinbach, midfielder and faceoff man, a verbal to national finalist Maryland that fell short once again in the national championship game, this time in overtime. And an exciting game to North Carolina. We have Matt Gavin from Manhasset that will play there next year. Here on the drive, Steinbach, there's the step down shot. This one blocked, never got through. Jamie Atkinson was the shooter, however, will have an interference called against Manhasset defensively.
Sorella, as soon as you see the back of your opponent and you can read his numbers, great time to double. Excellent replay production crew. And if you look, Ralph, that's not going to change. Manhasset's going to bring that level of double team the entire afternoon. So Garden City has to make them pay for it. They have to move it when they get double teamed and find the open man.
Here's J.P. Basile. And everybody will get a touch again for the Trojans.
And Ralph, the reason they bring the midfielder all the way up to the midfield line is they like him to get a running start on the alley dodge.
Sean Dillmeyer. And they whip it back behind Sean Coughlin. So a long start here for the Trojans. J.P. Basile here to handle. And Basile will turn inside. There's the shot. Haggerty making the save on the wing shot from Luke Keating. And then the backup is won by Manhasset. That's Brendan Haggerty that won the race to the corner.
Excellent ball movement. And Haggerty held the pipe. It might have grazed it, but if you're the goalie, you have to hold the pipe, react to the rebound, and sprint out of bounds to the sideline. Excellent job. And again, an unforced turnover. And sometimes, Ralph, I coached at Hofstra for 10 years. When the ball comes out of the bleachers, the white ball against the silver background during a day game, it can be troublesome. And you do have the glare of the sun.
We are still scoreless, nearing the midway point of this opening quarter. Both teams still settling in with J.P. Basile against Thomas Clejon.
Again, the wide set by Garden City, a 2-3-1.
Basile, and someone Steve Fennell has been highlighting still in his junior season, as there's a good trail check. They are putting the ball on the ground. Great defense by Manhasset again. And Jamie Atkinson, number 5 in white, vying for it. Atkinson continues, and the ball out of bounds. He touched it last. It's that white line, so the ball going back to the Indians eventually.
Clejon just relentless throwing checks. Ralph, we talk about scoop, cradle, pass, move it off the ground.
Another near turnover there. And right now, scoop, cradle, pass. The fundamentals both teams just trying to do against these relentless defenses.
Just to get the ball in the box and avoid the failure to advance penalty right there is a crowning achievement for Manhasset. This game is going to be about defense. We noted it in the pregame, and even though you have a boatload of offensive talent on Garden City and Manhasset, right now the defense really is flourishing.
So the Indians with their second possession. Up top, senior Jack Miller wearing the prestigious John Driscoll number. Honored to get that number, 32 as a senior. Out top, Kyle Cherry. And now the wing dodge, Matt Gavin. And Gavin slipped down, losing it. Doug Mangiardo will knock the ball free. However, will get the push called against Garden City. Great defense initially by Mangiardo.
When you look at the 6-on-6 set, and we see as he just really slips, awkwardly planted his left foot. but who's going to win the individual matchup? And to this point, Ralph, they're double teaming when you turn your back, but nobody's had to slide so far because nobody's been able to successfully dodge their defender.
Miller angles to the left and finishes. Jack Miller starting the scoring in this B championship game. And Ali Dodge left to make it 1-0.
Second chance opportunities, what looked like a turnover when Gavin slipped. And Garden City didn't like the call, but it's just classic one-on-one. And he didn't necessarily dodge his player, but he was able to get his hands free. Excellent shooting technique and drills it for the first score of the afternoon.
So that number 32 that is honored every single season for John Driscoll, who played midfield at Manhasset from 74 to 76, was a high school All-American, then played at Virginia, goes to the player that demonstrates the class, the academic prowess, leadership, and compassion for others in the program. This year was Jack Miller. Off the face-off, and Gunn, and Garden City will get this one.
Mike Harold with the call, and Garden City was questioning that last call, Ralph, because when a player's on the ground, the only thing you can do is stick check him, and even that sometimes you're resulting in a hold or a push call. So just try to get a hip tip and play the ball if a player's on the ground. Don't make any contact with your opponent. Clejohn's an excellent defender, number 43 from Manhasset, and also as a left-hander, it gives him an advantage against Basile when he tries to post up on the goal line extended.
Here's Atkinson. He gets freed with the screen. Now the righty ripper, and he missed a good look.
He knew, Ralph, he needed to get that on Cage. Very effective two-man pick play. Garden City with numbers off the exchange, 6-on-5.
Dillmeyer feeding, couple extra passes, and this one just away from Atkinson, as he will recover but then lose it out of bounds. Maybe hearing the footsteps of Ed Arnold, the freshman defenseman, and that's a Garden City turnover after the missed opportunity.
A missed chance. Manhasset got caught changing through the box. It was 6-on-5. Garden City did a nice job playing with their head up, found the open man. So two opportunities for the Trojans to go by the board.
And the Indians getting it ahead. In recent playoff meetings, certainly goals have been at a premium. A year ago, 8-7 in overtime in the county semifinal. 2 years ago, 4-3 Manhasset defeating Garden City in the semifinals. That was a 3-0 Garden City score then. So goals were very difficult to come by. So they can truly be games where each possession is ultra critical, even if it is only the first quarter.
Also, the balancing act in a game like this is you want to be very physical and play very intense lacrosse, but you do not want to foul.
Schneider met in a switch by Wukta to D-Midi. Out it comes to Miller.
The only way to force Garden City to slide is to win your individual match. Great face dodge.
Off the ankle, Schneider missing the cage. And they will grant backup. Steven Schneider, tremendous speed. He is also a verbal commitment to, we can say now, for the first time in 25 years, national champion North Carolina.
Congratulations to Joe Bresci and his staff. Dave Metzbauer, longtime assistant to Billy Tiernan at Princeton, where they won 6 national championships. But the first time an unseeded team and a team with 6 losses has won the national championship, and they certainly deserved it with a great win against Loyola on Saturday, and they gutted it out yesterday.
Matt Gavin, great checks again by Mangiardo to knock it free. Now Mangiardo vying for the ground ball, and they'll call playing it without a stick against Manhasset.
It's the correct call, even though it's behind the play. You have to have the cross in your hand to be involved in the action. Look at Garden City trying to clear, and orange shirts all over.
Finally, Tyler Wukta absorbs the punishment and will drop it off. He's been a highly effective D-Midi, already a 2-year starter at the position as a sophomore.
Ralph, we're approaching 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Garden City hasn't scored, and normally you'd be saying another takeaway check by Manhasset that, wow, offensively they're struggling. This is just excellent defense by both teams.
And that's Edward Arnold, a verbal already as a freshman to UPenn, who has also shined this season, jumping into the starting lineup. And what a player he is after initially starting the season as the backup to Sorella. but he forced his way into the starting lineup. So here is Schneider, 1:45 left, and Manhasset with just a 1-0 lead. Skip past Ryan D'Amico. And on the handle, Kevin Mack looking to draw and dump, and met in a switch. Now he has the defensive midi. And Mack, what a job he did, just igniting the Manhasset attack, playing without Jack Keogh against Lynbrook, where he was put and had a lot on his plate that day. Mack did respond. He was at our interview after the game. 3 goals and an assist as a tremendous bull dodger, but also facilitator.
That experience helps him this afternoon. Manhasset very unselfish, 6 quality offensive players on the field at any given time.
And here is Jack Keogh, Rich, for the first time playing 6-on-6. So you wonder, look, he was limited in practice, missed a full game. The schedule is very spaced out as it is, so you wonder what kind of rhythm a quarterback and a passer like Jack Keogh is in today.
He can't be 100% after the knee injury. I think you see him today more as a finisher and a shooter. He's had 52 assists, but he won't be dodging to create. He just doesn't have that acceleration off the knee injury.
And again, they sat him out as a precaution against Lynbrook. Was only going to play man up. In this case, a little bit more time as Matt Gavin's shot is off the mark, but certainly his experience is going to perhaps play a role today too. Jack Keogh already a 2-year starter and leads the team in points with 77.
Look for Manhasset to play for the last shot of the first quarter unless they get a great look.
Mack inside. Gavin, tight angle shot. This one fought off there by Lucchese holding the pipe.
Excellent job. And Lucchese, Ralph, you called it. Play the near pipe, particularly as the right-handed goalie. And Blake Miller does an excellent job with the offense. Nick Armstrong, the other assistant coach with Bill Cherry. 2 great looks inside.
Keogh the pass, and Lucchese with his best save of this one. As the stop inside on Peter Conlin. It appeared the D-Mini, I believe, that was driving through.
Time for the Trojans.
Transition coming for Garden City with 8 seconds to go. Feed inside for Basile. It'll carry through, and they'll say no deflection. Manhasset ball.
Best save of the first quarter by either goalie. Lucchese, notice he follows the head of the stick, is able to get the ball back and clear it. And 2 great looks for Manhasset off restarts off the end line. Excellent first quarter.
Looked like it may have been Mack actually as the shooter. Sam Lucchese, big save. Brendan Haggerty's defense has been playing great in front of him. It is just a 1-0 Nassau County Class B championship game with the defending champs Manhasset in front. We're back for the second quarter. Nassau County playoffs continue on Verizon Fios 1 Sports. So here we go for the start of the second quarter. 1-0 Manhasset leading Garden City. Ralph Bednarczyk with Rich Donovan here with you from the Nassau B Championship. Earlier this season, the 2 teams met for the annual Woodstick Classic 129th meeting, and Manhasset started off great, Rich, that day, but ultimately it was a Garden City 2-goal win.
Finn Gibbons with 4 goals on the day, but Garden City really hit their stride in the second half, Ralph, and once they started playing with confidence, they were able to come up with the 10-7 win. But this today is for all the marbles.
Matt Gavin had struggled shooting early. There's Gibbons, one of his 4 goals. And Garden City climbed out of a hole and scored the last 3. So it was a 9-7 finish. Finn Gibbons, incidentally, got hurt after that game. That was truly his breakout game for a junior attackman. They really miss him. And J.P. Basile also played well.
The best game that J.P. Basile had played until that point. Jack Keogh had 2 goals for Manhasset. But today we'll see an example, Ralph, of somebody perhaps not a highlight player stepping up as we look at Basile, who had an excellent game. Perhaps it's going to be one of those supporting cast players this afternoon.
And how many times do we see someone like that in these games step forward and do something, what makes championship games so special?
After the first quarter that we saw, perhaps dodging the short sticks will become even more important.
Kieran Gunn on the left for Garden City against Ryan D'Amico on the right for Manhasset. To open up the second quarter with the face-off, D'Amico chases and pursues, and it will be the senior D'Amico that comes up with a face-off. And there's an errant pass, and it will get through Manhasset and will be a turnover.
two mishandles there, the bad pass and then the missed scoop opportunity, which would have saved the possession. And Ralph, we talk about the importance of faceoffs, but in a game with only one goal scored, we've only had 3 faceoffs, one to start the first, start the second quarter, and then after the goal. So possessions and clearing now will become more important.
Those little things that add up as Kyle Steinbach turns the corner and able to step in. 13 turnovers so far, Rich, and certainly as we saw, Garden City and Manhasset, what they did to their semifinal opponents on the defensive end was special. We wondered, would that translate against these attack units? So far it has.
It certainly has. Also, Ralph, you have to keep an eye on the fatigue factor. In a game like this, if you sub in the second and third quarter, it will allow you to play your top elite players in the fourth quarter. But over the course of the game, even if you hydrate, it is definitely a factor. This is not a fast-paced game to this point, but it is hot this afternoon, particularly on the turf.
Luke Keating, and he will face dodge and curl back off to Basile, and Basile here has a D-midi. One Garden City needs to take advantage of. He feeds. There's the shot, and Haggerty, the fine save on Dillmeyer.
Matching Lucchese's earlier great save. We have an interference call that goes back to Garden City. I said to Steve Fennell and Joe Giacovina last week, Garden City throws the ball to the back pipe as well as any high school team I've seen. And by that I mean it's easy to throw it when you're driving to the same side you're on, but looking back across the cage. And that was an excellent example.
And Basile, who is a very effective feeder, too. You see how big and strong he is. Goes 6'3", 175. He has 30 goals, but also 28 assists. And he said after the game that he looks at himself as a feeder. And Steve Fennell is on him to continue to balance his game, be both a strong dodger, finisher, and a feeder. There's a shot from up top wide by Kyle Steinbach.
Bounce it inside the crease line. You're correct, Ralph. And Basile with his size and field vision. Also, the one time he didn't have Cleage on, you know he was going to the cage.
This shot as he turns on Clejon, not much on it, and Brendan Haggerty, the easy stop.
Tried to go 5-hole, but when you're an attackman and you're going against a long pole the entire game, anytime off the pick play or off the bump, you can get that short stick matchup. You have to look to create.
Here's junior Peter Conlin trying to get through, and Conlin a little bit of trouble. And Bill Cherry will use his first time out here, early stages, second quarter, sitting on a 1-0 lead. And as we referenced, what the Indians did to Lynbrook in their semifinal game was so impressive. Lynbrook a little bit, as you said, Rich, down or younger after they graduated 5 super players. And it was a 10-3 Nassau County Class B semifinal game. But the score doesn't even, I think, show you how good they were defensively that day. And then that Wantagh game, they had a 17-5 lead before the Warriors scored some late goals.
Bill Cherry was really pleased with the way the defense came out and hit the ground running against Lynbrook. Offensively, they were sharp, good sticks, moved the ball, but he knew going into this game, Garden City, similar to Manhasset, very balanced offensively. So not only do you have to win the individual matchups, but the first and second slides are important.
And the top defenses, like I referenced, 4.8 for Garden City is just spectacular with the non-league schedule they're able to put together.
And it also requires defense from your short stick, both D-middies and O-middies, and outstanding goalie play, which they've gotten from Lucchese.
And Locust Valley at the top, they are the lone remaining unbeaten in Long Island boys lacrosse. They're at the number 1. And Cold Spring Harbor, they will see each other once again for the second time in 3 years in the Nassau Class C championship game, which was a 1-goal game in the regular season. So defense is clearly the story here in the early going between these two teams, Manhasset and Garden City, in this B championship game. The lone goal, Jack Miller on a left-hand alley dodge, shooting with his offhand, and he was able to beat Sam Lucchese, and that's been it.
At all levels, we say defense wins championships, and it certainly appears to be the case this afternoon. Locust Valley and Cold Spring Harbor, keep in mind, Cold Spring Harbor defeated Manhasset, the defending Class B champ, and Syosset, the defending Class A champ. So they are looking for the revenge in the rematch.
Back to the first midfield for Manhasset with Kyle Cherry. Steven Schneider, and Jack Miller. And Mack behind with Keogh, defended by a short stick off ball.
They'll look for Keogh on the crease to finish, and since it doesn't appear that he'll be carrying a lot today, Garden City chooses to play him with a short stick so they can play long poles against the perimeter dodges.
And they'll flip the pass up top. This one will get past Miller. However, the nice play made by Clejon to keep it in for a moment. But here comes Hefner with his second team all Long Island running back speed. Takes it in, and his bouncer is off goal. But it'll be recovered and gathered by Sean Coughlin. And here's the timeout called by Garden City following the recovered loose ball.
Ralph, this is as good a ground ball for a high school long pole as you'll see. And he races. Notice at the end, though, he doesn't get a chance to extend his arms. But Steve Fennell figures, okay, we let our pole shoot it. Now let's get our good offensive players on the field. But excellent job between the lines. And the defensemen on both teams able to play great individual defense, take away checks, and move it in transition.
Here's the road two for the Trojans at 13-5, 10 straight wins, and against Southside, that was a 6-2 game, then 6-3. Big moment in the game, a man up to start the third quarter out of the locker room for Southside. They couldn't convert, and that eventually spirited Garden City to pull away and put the clamps on defensively.
Southside coach Steve DiPietro told us before the game he thought the strength of the Cyclones was their defense, but Garden City was very unselfish. Once they got the lead, they did a great job managing the ball.
And that's how the Trojans got here. After they started the season 0-3, they've put it together and rallied to reach this point, and one of the iconic boys lacrosse programs in the country that has won 6 New York State championships. Amazingly, 28th time in the Nassau championship. But it's been a little while, though. They lost in the B final, as we said, 4-3 and 14. Last year in overtime to this Manhasset bunch. 2013, they won the New York State title in B, defeating Jamesville DeWitt. So 2 years, for some folks on Long Island might say that's a drought for Garden City, so they are looking to change that. And really only J.P. Basile had a big impact, and a couple other seniors that did play or see limited action on the team that last won it.
Value the ball offensively, because in a game like this, it's so hard to score 6-on-6. So transition, unsettled opportunities, or extra man opportunities might be your best chance to score.
So handle back behind Sean Coughlin. Actually, just a couple of these seniors were up during the playoff run off the JV, so none of them really got into the game. So this is all truly new for every individual. There's a shot and the save made on Steinbach. Easy save for Haggerty. And the quick outlet, and Manhasset with Mack will spin through the attempted ride. Here comes Mack to goal. And then Mack forced back.
A very crafty move by Mack right at the substitution box, particularly when Hefner came flying out, number 22, and was able to double team with Colin Hart, but a good job tucking his stick, running to daylight.
So far, the shot number in the second quarter, interesting, 5-0. There's the first shot, though. It is a goal for the Indians. Matt Gavin switching and shooting with his right hand to make it 2-0.
Shooting efficiency. We talk about total shots and we talk about shots on goal, and Manhasset makes it count. Simple ball movement. This is the left to right face dodge. Excellent placement to the far pipe.
Gavin, their second leading scorer. That's his 43rd after 3 goals, 2 assists against Lynbrook in the B semifinal. He had 2 goals against the Trojans in the Woodstick Classic, Rich, but as we saw him, he struggled shooting the ball early, something like 0 for his first 8 or 9 before eventually figured it out.
Key teaching point there for our younger viewers. You notice he face dodges with enough room and margin of error that the long pole couldn't get a check in, and then he accelerated.
D'Amico had the face-off for a moment for Manhasset. Forced ahead. Arnold for the Indians had it for a moment. So did Battaglia. This one pops all the way out. And they race forward at midfield.
Player down on the field, Ralph.
And finally, as Colin Hart gains possession, we have an injured Manhasset player. And this is going to be senior close defenseman Chris Battaglia.
Once the ball enters the box, the release call is in effect. So even though there was no possession.
Battaglia just being bumped and by Hefner. And they check him out. A 2-year starter that will play at Division III Colby College in Vermont. Bell rung a little bit.
The check was below the shoulders, and he did hit him square from the front. There was no flag. Dr. Carl Friedman to our left with the red shirt on serves as our Section 8 physician for all championship games. We're glad to see him up and walking off with assistance.
So Battaglia will get some assistance. A very good on-ball defender to go along with Ed Arnold and Thomas Clejon. So Manhasset will have to make a substitution and check on his status. Meanwhile, Brendan Haggerty played really well, 6 saves against Lynbrook in the B semifinal. And his defense has played so well throughout the season. He was tested, though, in the Garden City game. He finished with 7 saves in that narrow loss.
Bill Cherry setting his riding team up deep, does not want to give up any transition as they will look to chase with the attack, and Garden City with the easy clear on the overpass. Just redirect the ball.
Now we have another whistle, and Stefanella happy about something for the Garden City side, and our officials are going to get together about something.
Joe Rezin-Pollock to our left, Mike Harold to our right.
Offsides, Garden City.
A mental mistake by the Trojans. The ball side, the player carrying the ball is never offside. It's the far offside player who has to stay back. You do not want to tell your player with the ball, hesitate and look around. You have it, you have the ability to sprint it over the line. So in a game of this intensity, every possession so important, and this potentially is a 2-goal swing.
So a goal here by Manhasset could really loom large. 3-0 in the way this game is being played out and the path it's going on. It could feel like so much more.
Don't underestimate that 0 on the board halfway through the second quarter. For Garden City, the tendency is, particularly with high school athletes, to start to press a little bit. We have to get on the board. We're being shut out.
Gavin. Kyle Cherry will move it along. Now Miller. Midway through the second quarter, as Mack will initiate, again with Keogh playing off ball in a shooting role.
You have to see where Keogh is. So he does challenge the defense, even though he's not carrying it.
There's Mack shooting, trying to go to the far pipe. He gets back up. So Kyle Cherry to initiate. Kyle is Coach Bill Cherry's son, one of his 6 children. There's another Cherry, as we learned, on the way that will be on the Manhasset varsity next season. So it could be an emotional moment today for father and son to potentially celebrate another county championship together.
I had the pleasure of coaching our son Michael while at East Meadow. He was an academic All-American, which I was extremely proud. He had his mother's brains, but it is special. It is challenging, but at the same time, those moments and memories are forever. And again, the Garden City passing lane, able to take the ball, knock it loose. Numbers, you have to go here, Ralph.
It's Schmelzinger who fires the shot on the bounce, and Haggerty again seeing it well today.
Our highlight player against Southside, Schmelzinger, with great speed. And the reason I said he had to push, it was 5-on-5, but you're moving. It's easier to score 5-on-5 than 6-on-6. Try to force the action, push it to the cage. Hopefully you get the rebound look or you back up the cage, Ralph. But for Garden City to play fast in an opportunity was the right choice. And we see Manhasset's second midfield get some fresh legs on here. Again, the heat is a factor.
Freshman Chris Glynn with Ryan D'Amico. And the third guy will be Ronan Garcia here to play outside with Keogh remaining on the field.
Both teams with outstanding coaching staffs, and you want to look at the offensive player.
There's Lucchese making the save on the fadeaway shot by Mack.
Mack did it lefty earlier, and he does it right. He's got a good first step.
Interception by Gavin. Lucchese out of goal. A 2-1-2. Gavin, quick shot, is wide, and he did not have backup.
He knew he should have waited there. Either pass it or pull it out, because that is all or nothing. You have no backup. And it was sort of a little 3-on-3. He tried to go with the surprise shot, but credit Lucchese, Ralph. After you throw a bad clearing pass, or your teammates do, as a goalie, just get back in the cage immediately, assume your position. He did exactly that.
Schmelzinger with the clear and into the box for Garden City. He played so well against Southside. 2 goals and an assist, but doing so many of the little things. And one of just 6 seniors on this Garden City team that is here in the playoffs. Just a cyclical thing, but it ended up being a very small group.
And we always say freshmen want to play, seniors want to win. Bad penalty.
Shot off the side of cage, but the man-up unit will get its opportunity for Garden City.
If you're an official, this is the easiest call you can make. You never tomahawk chop down. You're out of position, just trail the back elbow. You'll get the slide from your teammate, but you're telegraphing the check and you're going for a home run check at a bad opportunity. When a player's gone past you, Ralph, it's the worst time to try to take it away.
That's the freshman Edward Arnold that slashed Luke Keating. Check that they have number 25 up on the board, Sorella. So he is the one in the box with the slash, but the chance for Garden City, a much-needed man up.
And Garden City, taking a page out of Brown's book, they're putting the long pole.
Here he is. There's the shot that goes wide. That's Phil Puccio, fresh off of scoring his 2nd goal this season against Southside. So the offensive-minded junior that's going to play at Bucknell.
If I'm Phil Puccio, I'd be careful I didn't drive my car here. He almost hit the public safety officer in the far corner. But if you're short on lefties, a lot of teams are doing that now, and it's the advantage, Ralph, is that he's still on the field now, so you can double team the ball. Offside Manhasset.
Schneider, just as he got in, Manhasset disagrees where the offside was. So here's a free opportunity for the Trojans. Still 18 seconds to go on this men up, 2.5 remaining, first half.
I was mentioning that Puccio, in the game with the long pole, if Manhasset gained possession, he could immediately jump and double team.
Looking to walk it out in front, Haggerty holding the pipe, and the Garden City attackman stuffed there right along that right side. So the Trojans will turn it over, and we are all even. And that was Liam Muldoon, sophomore attackman. And finally, the Indians here, with 2:01 to go, they will regroup and organize following the penalty kill.
Excellent double team. Haggerty holding the pipe, and the play on call. Garden City had stepped in the crease. But both teams, again, we credit the defense, but Manhasset has the edge because they're pitching a shutout.
So Bill Cherry using his final timeout, protecting a 2-0 lead in this Nassau County Class B championship game. This is Coach Cherry's 10th season taking over for Alan Lowe, and all the numbers are impressive, but when you take over for a Hall of Famer, it has remained a Hall of Fame program in operation.
I played for Alan Lowe at East Meadow. He coached the offense. Jack Haley coached the defense. He and sons Kevin and Darren, all 3 members of the National Lacrosse Hall of Fame. And Bill Cherry, always an integral part of the program, and a very smooth transition when he took over.
And being in the finals 14 of the last 15 years, either in Class B or their many rivalry games against Cold Spring Harbor in Class C, which had a very similar feel to these games, this game that we're watching here.
You don't have to make hotel reservations because you know it's always played at Hofstra, but you do circle a date on your calendar if you're a Manhasset lacrosse fan.
So it's 2-0 Indians here. Jack Miller and Matt Gavin, a couple of seniors that have tallied for the Indians. And meanwhile, for Garden City and Coach Steve Fennell, an offsides there, a flag that gave the opportunity, the failed clear that may have led to another goal on the shot missed by Gavin. What do you think the message is to his team at this juncture?
Keep doing what's in the game plan, what we prepared for. We're on week 14 of the season. We're not going to make major changes. Manhasset didn't come out playing a zone or a box and one. It's what we expected. We have to be true to our team identity. Steve Fennell, they'll tweak some things at halftime, but I think they're going to be more positive than anything else. Go hard to the goal, keep shooting, ride, swarm. Let's try to get the ball to the ground. And for Manhasset, if the score holds at 2-0 and going into halftime, Ralph, they'll have turned a 48-minute game into a 24-minute game.
So it'll be Miller that will have it outside. And we'll see if the Indians hold perhaps for the final shot of the first half.
Excellent point, Ralph, and we'll see how quick the officiating crew would put the stalling warning on, if so.
And it is the first offensive midfield for the Indians that is now fresh, and will get this assignment. And also Keogh remains on the attack unit, defended by D. Mitty. It's Chris Mixon inside. Feed to Keogh. And let's see how he can move here and initiate. Perhaps playing a little bit of possum, huh?
Absolutely. Blake Miller and Bill Cherry both telling everybody to go to the other side of the field. Keogh has the shorty, and what a team player he is, Ralph. He caught a good bump by Garden City, getting the long pole against him.
Keogh comes out in front, perhaps playing some big-time possum. All of a sudden, he accelerates to the front, and he makes it 3-0.
Ralph, in my view, that's an example of Garden City relaxed when the long pole got there. They were hot to slide when they had the short stick there, but now they figure they're good to go, and he goes with the box stick fake, tweak it, turn it, excellent technique all the way through. This is shooting and dodging with confidence.
It was the first time all afternoon that he has dodged. He maybe touched the ball once or twice on the earlier man up. But talk about all of a sudden appearing and ascending into a game. And
the unselfish play he made, Ralph, when he caught it on the crease and pulled it out because he didn't have a good shooting angle, can't be overlooked.
Face-off win for Garden City with Kiernan Gunn, but now an important possession for the Trojans, and they will talk about it, trailing 3-0 with 1:01 left before the half.
Ralph, you and I have talked about this. 3-0 seems so much bigger than 2-0 because of the way the game is being played. So if you're Steve Fennell now, you go into the playbook to the page that has a play that is absolutely going to work because you would love to get on the board going in at halftime.
So the Trojans will talk about it. And in that huddle, you see Jack Keogh having just scored the goal. Isn't it just remarkable how he was playing as a crease man? And, you know, Bill Cherry's been at this a long time, but I think an interesting game of possum, perhaps, that all of a sudden Keogh unleashed on himself because he accelerated. I didn't see a difference there versus, let's say, the Woodstick this year.
I agree. He knows that if Keogh's on the crease, Garden City has to respect that. They can't slide from the crease because if he catches, he'll finish inside. So even though he's not the dodge and create player this afternoon, he is putting pressure on the Trojan defense.
Tremendous vision that has accentuated Jack Keogh's tremendous career in his third year in the varsity, been a full-time starter for the last 2 years, and a verbal commitment to play at Johns Hopkins. Also the varsity basketball point guard for 2 years, so he truly will captain and lead things out on the field in whatever role he is in. 3-0 Manhasset as you watch this Nassau County Class B Boys Lacrosse Championship game. The defending Long Island B champs, Manhasset, with a lead over longtime rival Garden City here on another hot but nice afternoon at Sherwood Stadium at Hofstra. Winner off to the Long Island Class B Championship game, taking on either Shoreham-Wading River or Sayville, and then off to the New York State Tournament. And Manhasset lost last year to Victor, New York, in Rochester, 16-6 in the final game of the year.
We saw Sorella, 25 in orange, matched up against Atkinson, 5. Immediately, Garden City goes for the short stick ISO matchup.
It's Basile. Chance to step down. Sorella with the trail check. And the Garden City player playing without the stick. Again, the tremendous Ben Sorella making another play.
Bill Cherry wanted to know why that was not a play on. Manhasset had the ball, and he wanted them to push immediately. So here's a successful clear for the Indians, and with short time remaining, look for them to hold for one route. Plenty of time.
Miller back behind. A goal here could be devastating for Garden City. 15 seconds left. Mack to initiate, with Hart, the freshman, on his hip. The skip pass across, tight handle by Schneider. Couldn't handle it. Hefner pushed it out. Loose ball recovered by Schneider with two, with one. And one final save had to be made by Sam Lucchesi. But it is Manhasset able to solve this stingy Garden City defense that's number 2 in the county. And fewest goals allowed. They have a 3-0 lead. Last time Garden City was shut out in the first half, it was earlier this season against Bellevue, Washington, but the Trojans did come back to win that game by 1. We're coming back to look at our first half highlights and statistics. You're watching the Nassau County Class B championship game on Verizon Fios 1 Sports. So defending Long Island Class B champion Manhasset, a 3-0 shutout over Garden City from this Nassau B final. With Rich Donovan, Ralph Bednarchik, as we look at our first half highlights. Goals were tough to come by, both defenses playing super. Finally, Jack Miller took the goose eggs off the board.
Great offense against a stingy defense. Individual efforts by Jack Miller, Matt Gavin, and then an inspirational goal by Jack Keogh, splitting the defense, the definition of the term. And then it's all defense. Excellent double team by the Trojans to get the ball to the ground. Passing lane, forcing the errant throw. Again, Garden City playing the passing lanes, knocking the ball to the ground. And Manhasset, Cirilla has been a monster. Trail checks, double teaming. Haggerty with the save of the first half right there. And again, Cirilla late in the half able to get the strip.
That's it, 13-11 in terms of shots, high turnover number, and we started that way, 6 turnovers in the first 3 minutes, and it carried on.
The statistics are very even. The only one that counts is the 3 goals on the board for Manhasset. Look for Garden City, Ralph, to dodge from the midfield more here in the second half, particularly if they get the short stick matchup. For Manhasset, don't commit penalties and value the ball with good shot selection.
That's where we are. Garden City looking for a goal and then some. 3-0 Indians at the break. We're back for the third quarter from the Nassau Class B final on Verizon Fios 1 Sports. So 3-0 Manhasset as we start the third quarter. Rich, let's have a fast look at your Verizon Fios 1 Sports championship keys to the game.
Manhasset has won 3 key individual matchups that have resulted in goals. The supporting cast has been very strong. Garden City, a win is all that counts. They've done a good job handling the pressure, Ralph, but they haven't been able to break down the defense.
A couple of missed opportunities in terms of shots, notably a Jamie Atkinson one earlier down the right alley as Ryan D'Amico faces off against Garden City's Keenan Gunn, and we'll get the call coming here, giving the ball to Garden City, and they needed a possession early. They need something here just in terms of energy and something to ignite the team. So JP Basile starts it off. And Thomas Clejon, again, the outstanding rangy senior defenseman that will play at Division III Wesleyan in Connecticut. And the dodge against Miller. And then they go inside. That may have been a pass, and indeed it was. The official was right on it. Jamie Atkinson was in shooting range. He had the big JP Basile down low on the doorstep, and a miscommunication between the two.
The strategy is to go high from up top to get the running start. Atkinson gets a good run, but looking for Basile on the back pipe, head up, or is it a shot? Tough to tell, but even if, regardless, Ralph, you have to sprint to the end line if you're the Garden City attack right there. That is the equivalent of a turnover.
So here are the Indians, and again, you have the sense another goal here. Maybe too much. Garden City was in this kind of a game earlier this season, April the 6th, against Bellevue of Washington, who will come to Long Island very often. They have become one of the top West Coast programs out there. And Bellevue shut out Garden City in the first half before Garden City rallied and won the game 5-4. So they've been there before with this team this season, although they did have a couple of starters that they're missing today, and notably Finn Gibbons, who played very well the second half of the season. Here is Miller.
Feeling the pressure, moves it behind to Gavin.
Gavin stuck inside, and he's going to be called for in the crease.
When you dodge straight down the line, there's nowhere to go. You have to pull it and either front swing to shoot or carry it to the X. Manhasset spun it a few times before they looked to go. And look for Garden City now. This is where they have to go, at the midfield in transition.
Okay, good. Have the box ready. Heavy.
Clejon, the left-hander against Bazile. Stay between your man and the goal. Don't overcheck. Don't create offense.
Bazile gets the switch against the freshman. Out it comes Schmelzinger. Gears up the hands and a bouncer. Too far over the top. Tim Schmelzinger, as Steve Fennell said before the game, playing the best lacrosse of his career right now. Signed with Division III Gettysburg to go be a football quarterback. And he and Brian Hefner, a couple seniors that, as Fennell notes, you know, in this day and age, football guys might have said, forget about my senior year, I'm just going to work out. But they remain devoted to this program and playing each of them very well here at the end.
Kevin Berger, long pole, doing a good job on Atkinson right there. Again, not over-checking. Switch against the short stick.
Atkinson fights his way through, and they'll call warding off against Atkinson.
Excellent call. The initial contact made, but you cannot use your arm to gain a competitive advantage. Manhasset with numbers.
Cherry.
Both teams, Ralph, guilty of shooting too much overhand. You have to drop three-quarter and try to skip it on the field turf. The ideal bounce shot over the goalie's shoulder, tucking underneath the crossbar. But we've had several shots, and keep in mind, we only had 10 shots on goal combined in the first half that have gone over the goal. And Cirilla out of the game here for Manhasset as they look to run their substitution game. And you do it at the face-off X.
And they'll bring back Ronan Garcia. And Miller will also sub out, so it'll be the second midfield. Tim Petrus will also check in for the first time. Petrus with a nice goal against Lynbrook. His third of the season in the B semifinal. And Chris Glynn, too. A very fast freshman midfielder. Mac, Keogh, and now isolated this time against Wukta. So he played possum the first time. I'm sure Garden City saw that he is not exactly really limited after all.
Blake Miller.
Pass across, loose ball. Gavin, big save made by Lucchese, and the rebound will be covered up by Lucchese. There was a chance to shoot and an open goal for Gavin, and now the late flag coming out.
Lucchese, excellent job, like a hockey goalie, sliding across. But after the play, and these are the penalties you cannot get if you're Garden City. The look when he dropped the head of the stick, but here is a late foul, and you can't. This is Puccio there. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Hefner. Hefner, and it's the game of motion. We talked about the frustration level, Ralph, but right there, you have to let it go. They would have had to call with Manhasset in the crease. Instead, now it will be a 1-minute penalty. But Lucchese really, and at this point, he can't let any more goals in.
It's a 1-minute call, so a big moment in this game. 7:40 to go. An extra man from Manhasset. And a fourth goal would really create some separation. Schneider goes for it, and he gets it on the feed from Keogh. And the quick man-up goal just 12 seconds into it to make it 4-0.
Manhasset changed their extra man set. They put Keogh up top to trigger to be the quarterback on the 3-3. and they just basically move the ball. An excellent step down shot. Have the defenders step up, catch, turn, and overhand. We talked about the bounce shot.
Keogh with the great eyes to set that up for Steven Schneider. 4-0, that's Schneider's 28th of the season, coming on man up. And the very fast junior midi after a goal and an assist against Lynbrook in the B semi. And the Trojans do come up with the possession, but how many more possessions will they have left? 7:20 to go. The face-off game has been there for the Trojans. And can they take advantage and convert?
Right away, 6-on-5. Manhasset caught again, subbing.
Steinbach. And then that was trail checked away nicely by Klejon. Just able to poke it away. Recovery, though, by Dillmeyer.
Atkinson with a short stick has to go to the goal here. ISO number 5, look for him to dodge and create. Manhasset will slide early.
Atkinson matched up with Glynn, the freshman. Dillmeyer, great challenge on the pass, and actually the interception made by Sorella.
Trying to throw a long pass that was a high risk with little reward, but Manhasset puts it right back on the ground.
Impressive interception by Ben Sorella. What appeared to be a small window quickly was closed off.
One-hand grab with the pole. He catches it cleanly. Excellent job of defending the passing lanes.
Highly recruited player Ben Sorella. As we have an injured Garden City player down, and this is Brian Hefner. And the last thing Garden City can afford is yet another injury. Hefner being looked at. The play occurred after the missed pass here down this sideline. And you know something has to truly be wrong, as Hefner, what a tremendous running back, a record-setting player for Garden City in the fall. Single-season record for rushing yards and 20 touchdowns. 3 more scores in the air. Was second team all Long Island. And he appears like he is clutching his chest or his rib cage area. So the #1 long stick midi will have to exit the game for the moment, and the Trojans will have to go even deeper into their bench.
Garden City going with the short stick midfielder to clear the ball. Look for them to clear through as Atkinson redirects to Lucchese.
So we'll see if Hefner can return. And meanwhile, the ride begins for Manhasset. And the senior Lucchese will rush through the middle and then drop it back here for J.P. Basile, the attackman. And Garden City stays onside. Finally, Basile will get away from Conlin and eventually get into the box.
Manhasset choosing to slow play the goalie, defending everybody but him. And the clearing team has a one-man advantage. Smart play by Luca. Another passing lane by the Indians.
That's James Amorasana, sophomore close defender that just came in. He's the 4th guy that just made another fine play.
The way to avoid, excuse me, Ralph, the way to avoid that is to move your feet and move to the ball. But when you're flat-footed, you allow the defensive player, even if he doesn't catch it, he hasn't given anything up. But that's where you need to go back door. You need to be catching and moving, breaking in and out, working. Again, the lost possession could be a potential 2-goal swing.
And each Manhasset defenseman has played well. We have not seen Chris Battaglia return. Remember, he had the injury in the second quarter. But they find the next guy. Amarasana had started some. Of course, Klejon, Ed Arnold, and then the outstanding long stick mini Sorella. They've all had their moments with tremendous checks.
When Hegarty's needed to be big, he has made a couple of outstanding saves.
Calcheri whips it behind for Mack. It's Keogh. Puts it in front, and the pass for Cherry, a good one. His bouncer goes wide. Nice run through the middle there by the midfielder.
Manhasset with an excellent job moving to the ball, and Keogh, great field vision, but when you're coming away from the cage to catch and turn is tough to do. Good pickup, ball's in play.
It's Keogh on the wide shot. Now another flag is out. Keogh on the pass. It's high. It goes to the outside, and the save made on Schneider by Lucchese. Yet another man-up opportunity coming up for the Indians.
This is an illegal check above the shoulders. Bill Cherry frustrated there, Ralph, because they could have held the ball. Keogh showing some pretty good quickness right there to pick up the loose ball. And then the roll dodge, he steps back. Time and room from the wing. I feel like Coach Cherry right there would have liked him to hold the ball, Ralph. There's no shot clock when there's a flag down. You can run through the entire offensive set. So the last time they went with the 3-3 freelance, which they're lined up again, and Keogh made the very simple pass to Schneider, who threw in the bounce shot for the goal.
Here's another critical moment for Garden City. Their man-down unit in a key moment in the semifinals stopped Southside to eventually be a big momentum turner. Here's a shot that clangs the pipe. The recovery, Keogh up top. Swings it down low. He had Mack open, but the pass was high. The initial shot taken by Kyle Cherry that hit the left pipe.
This is a good non-call because to the naked eye, it looks like the net moved, which it did, but he hit it square on, which is why they had the long rebound. And Keogh knows he made a bad pass there. As soon as it left his stick, he threw it sidearm and it sailed high. Still plenty of time remaining. Garden City looking to kill the man down.
Lucchese looking for an outlet. Through a Hail Mary pass, but it'll be recovered here by Dillmeyer. And Dillmeyer needed to get in. 10 seconds to go in the man down, and the Trojans will be able to spread the field here with Atkinson to take it behind.
Great job by Dillmeyer moving to the ball on the clearing pass, even though it bounced once. Lucchese, excellent lacrosse IQ, knowing he needed to get rid of it. And the teams are all even. Who is going to break down the Manhasset defense, who's wearing a white jersey right now? Garden City has to step up.
Hey guys, back it up out of the box.
Now it'll be the sophomore Steinbach working on Peter Conlin. Dillmeyer to pop out.
The only way you shut out a team this late in the game, Ralph, is that your short sticks are playing as well as your long sticks defensively.
Here is Atkinson as he will back it up. 2.5 to go, and we've seen and heard so many coaches talk about that they're the most important defenders now in the sport, the D-Minis. Onto the wing, here's the chance, it's Steinbach, and he gets Garden City on the board. Kyle Steinbach from the wing to make it 4-1.
They caught Manhasset rotating, and Garden City kept the ball moving. Just find the next man, the time and room step down, and even though it's stick side, it was low and away, good release point. I like the strategy with Berger going all the way out with Atkinson with the long pole route because it prevents Atkinson from getting a running start. But Garden City finally breaks through.
Kyle Steinbach is on the James Sullivan plan. Early on in his career, a face-off guy, and eventually will become an offensive midfielder. That's what he's evolved to this season as a sophomore with his 19th goal. Ryan D'Amico, important face-off win for Manhasset following the goal. So with 2:10 left, we'll see how the Indians will play it here to close out the third quarter.
Very important, Kevin Mack immediately sprinting to the spot to take the entry pass off the face-off win, avoiding the potential double team, and roll the ball on the turf to the box, Ralph. I have to admit, I'm not a big fan. If it skips over his stick, both Bill Cherry and Blake Miller will probably run out to retrieve it.
Fortunately, we're playing on a very smooth turf surface here versus some of the grass fields that exist. One rock or two, and the ball becomes an over and back. Garcia and Mack. Good skip pass, chance to step down, but instead D'Amico pulled it back. Now Gavin, and Gavin is stuck. Mangiardo then comes out in front, and Lucchese got the stick low. Mack with heart, looking for this ground ball, and Mack does well to box out Colin Hart. He'll keep possession. So the shutout lasted 33 minutes, 41 seconds for the Manhasset defense. Gavin shooting and going to the split, says Lucchese.
Bit of a force, try to use the defenseman to screen the goalie. Don't get a penalty right there.
Lucchese trail checked, he's out of goal. Mack looking for an open goal, he'll roll it across. It's Gavin scoring! What a roll pass to set it up for Gavin by Kevin Mack.
Garden City wanted the penalty on the contact immediately after the save, and that's why they're very upset. But Manhasset rides, gets it to the ground. Here we see the pass, and then Lucchese back on the return pass, doesn't feel the player behind him. They wanted to push with no possession. And right here, this is knock hockey 101. Roll it, scoop it, and throw it in the net.
Matt Gavin, we are certainly going to credit an assist to Kevin Mack on that one after Jack Keogh forced a turnover with a good wrap check to dislodge it from Lucchese.
The reason why the goal is so huge is that it took Garden such a long time. Great ground ball, 4-on-3 for Atkinson.
Dillmeyer, one extra pass blocked, and then Clejon with his stick tied up, able to kick it ahead to D'Amico.
If you could summarize the little things, or what we call winning edges in the game, it would be passing lanes for Manhasset today. What was a 4-on-3 turned into a Manhasset possession.
Schneider with 24 seconds left. Onto the wing, John Silos. Junior, he's their 5th attackman, will get a run here. 10 seconds left, Jack Miller. The skip to Cherry. Cherry down low, tough pickup. Silos across, looking for Miller for the quick stick. And that closes out the third quarter. Big goal off the scramble by Matt Gavin. A lot of credit goes to Kevin Mack just after Garden City found some life following their first goal of the day. It's a 5-1 Nassau County Class B championship game as we head to the fourth on Verizon Fios One Sports. 5-1 Manhasset looking to go back-to-back in the Nassau County championship game in Class B. Scoring the late goal from Matt Gavin. So here's where we stand as we go to the fourth quarter. And Rich Garden City has faced off well between Kyle Steinbach and Keenan Gunn. It hasn't been overwhelming, but they just haven't been able to manufacture any offensive consistency. What's the adjustment, if anything, for this final 12 minutes to put some pressure on the Indians?
Garden City will have to play faster, and if the score holds up, Ralph, they'll have to extend the field against an excellent stick handling team. Good to see number 22, Hefner, back in the game on the wing for Garden City, but Manhasset wins it on the faceoff violation. And if we subdivide this last 12 minutes and time of possession, Garden City down by 4, and the way that Manhasset has played, Ralph, they'll need well more than 4 possessions to tie the game. So look for them to start to come out and run and chase, run and check, and pick the tempo of the game up.
Yes, I do see that illusion. I see the illusion that it gives.
Here's Cherry. So a wide first possession as Miller will start his dodge against Wukta. Already the first minute off the clock in the fourth quarter. This was a 1-0 game at the end of one and a Jack Miller goal. 3-0 at the break. First 3 goals of the game for Manhasset, all unassisted. This is a low shot. This one fought off there by Lucchese, by Mack. He was the shooter, and the ground ball is going to be recovered here by Puccio of Garden City and into Sam Lucchese. It was 4-0 after a Steven Schneider extra man goal from Keogh. Then 4-1 finally, Garden City getting the board late in the third quarter after 33 minutes of scoreless across. Steinbach from Dillmeyer. Gavin, his second of the day from Mack late in the third. And here's where we stand to decide Nassau County Class B winner off to the Long Island Championship game.
Approximately a 1-minute possession by Manhasset. The key for them, Ralph, knowing when not to shoot is important.
That's J.P. Basile able to turn the corner finally and extend his hands. It's 5-2.
The individual matchup won by Basile, our highlight player, rising to the occasion. And Clejon goes with the chop check and then started to go over the head at the wrong time, pushing him out. Basile able to finish. And I was making the point that knowing when not to shoot is as important as knowing when to shoot from Manhasset. And Mac the last time, perhaps a little over anxious. So now face-offs become more important for Garden City.
And the number is 6-4 Trojans. Procedure called against D'Amico. So Gunn will get it back. And the Trojans do have a very good combination in that spot. D'Amico the primary face-off man, so the Trojans could find an edge there if they can get some more face-offs in.
Despite the heat, look for both teams to go with their first midfield exclusively and their top players on attack and defense right now. Both coaches have 2 timeouts remaining, so there are 4 stoppages in play.
Again, Basile looking to go low to high and met by the check at the very end.
It's amazing how one goal will give you confidence, Ralph. Now he looks like he's ready to turn the corner every time he touches it.
Eddie, be ready here!
They'll dodge the short stick. Luke Keating, good inside roll. Outside it comes, good extra pass, flagged out. Atkinson steps in and scores with the flag out. And the Trojans have capitalized on that momentum. All of a sudden, they're within 2.
Excellent job of moving the ball and finding the next man. And this will be assessed. It is a 1-minute personal foul in the head. So the check was above the shoulder and hit the helmet. So this will be a man-up face-off opportunity for Garden City. And we talked about the important thing for Manhasset was not to foul.
Jamie Atkinson, for the first time, has been starting on attack the last 5 games, but also doing his thing as a D-midi, a transitional player. What doesn't he do for this team?
He's excellent between the lines, and he's one of those guys, Ralph, that can play fast and make it happen. Manhasset needs to get another player off the field here, and they need somebody to face off. And they are choosing to go with the long pole and look for this to be a scrum. Sorella just stand up, chop check, because the longer you can keep the ball in play, Ralph, it's the penalty time we'll be running.
The penalty on Peter Conlin, defensive midfielder for Manhasset. So 3-on-2 in the wings.
Will Bill Cherry use a quick timeout here if he does gain possession?
Gunn pushes it exactly to the vacated spot. It's only Atkinson for the uncontested ground ball. So here are the Trojans with the ball, trailing by 2, and a lot of time left in this B championship game.
You go to the empty side. You look on both shoulders to see what side there's no opponent. So Garden City gets their personnel on, and they go with a 2-3-1. Atkinson, the time and room shooter, number 5 up top.
Phil Puccio also with the pole. He's the lefty shooter on the wing. Save made there by Haggerty.
I can't think that that was the shot they wanted. I could see Puccio being in on the left wing as a potential threat, but Manhasset looking to clear.
Ahead for Gavin off of his stick. And Doug Mangiardo, who's played well today. The outlet and a second chance coming for the Trojans. With 5 seconds left, man up.
All you need is a possession if you're Manhasset. Credit Garden City denying the entry pass. Manhasset needs to match up.
There's a save by Haggerty low. Open wing shot there from Kyle Steinbach.
A good look right there. They had an opportunity. So the teams are all even, 6-on-6.
Basile. He walks in all alone, and he lays it in. And Garden City has roared back They've scored 3 unanswered in the fourth quarter to climb within 1.
A missed communication by Manhasset. It wasn't really a two-man pick play, but for some reason, Clejon stopped against Basile and chooses to stay off it. There wasn't the call, and it's the responsibility of the man who's defending the player who sets the pick. Go through, or switch. And Basile able to absorb the slide from up top. He has been a big-time player here in the fourth quarter.
2 of the 3 goals in the period belonging to J.P. Basile, nearly identical, able to get top side. So as Coach Stefanel has challenged him, not just even this year, in his career to continue to look to go to cage, he's done that twice in this fourth quarter. 3 goals in 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and now Garden City wins another faceoff from Gunn. However, the ball on the ground, Schmelzinger had it. Still loose, and Garden City will be granted a timeout as the ball found Kieran Gunn. 7:54 left, and the Trojans will look for the equalizer.
The reason why you save your timeouts, that possession was about to be lost. It was a 50-50 ground ball. Steve Fennell still has 1 left for late in the game. And several players from both teams had an opportunity here, but in traffic, about to be collapsed by 4 orange shirts. Timeout.
Second half faceoff number 6 out of 8 for Gunn and Steinbach and the wingmen.
Garden City with 3 fourth quarter goals, and the possession. Ralph, this quarter is going very slowly because of the goals and the penalties, but with 7:54 remaining, plenty of time.
Let's show you how they've done it in just 2 minutes and 8 seconds, starting with J.P. Basile. This was the igniter.
Being pushed away from the cage, great individual effort, unselfish ball movement. Atkinson stepped down from 10 yards, and Basile on the mix-up behind the cage, tuck it, and throws it in low and away. What a classic matchup, Ralph, as we expected.
Here in the fourth, 6-1 also because of that face-off advantage. And remember that shot that Kevin Mack had early when Manhasset looked like they had the early fourth quarter in control, stepping in at 5-1. That gave that small window of an opportunity for the Trojans to put this together.
Took Garden City 33 minutes to score their first goal, and now they've scored 4 in the last 38 in the last 8 minutes. It's amazing once you get going.
Now we're tied. The shot from the outside by Steinbach. It's 5-all.
If you're Bill Cherry, do you call timeout here? I would not, because it's not like this is just simple drive and find the open man, and Manhasset played the topside shooter a little bit too soft. He is going to wait, drag it out, and call timeout.
On the dish from Luke Keating, Kyle Steinbach just had the chance earlier, and the save was made. That's his second of the game. And Garden City has completely erased the first 3 quarters of the game in terms of the way it was going to get this county championship game knotted up at 5.
What was a 48-minute game is now a 7-minute and 40-second game, and perhaps beyond, knowing the history of these 2 programs. But we talked at halftime, Ralph, Garden City just needs to continue to do the little things. They've found the open man, and Manhasset has gotten a little frantic defensively, and that's created the window of opportunity for the Trojans.
These 2 teams played into the final seconds in the regular season, and now we are certainly appearing like we'll be there again. Nassau County Class B for many years has been long dominated since they went to the different classification structure of A, B, and then eventually C. And the Trojans have captured many championships, a total of 6 state titles, but recently more balance to it with Manhasset moving up from Class C, and then Lynbrook and their rise as a program, and Class B has by far become the deepest classification in Nassau County and could rival Division I in Suffolk County.
both coaches telling their teams, what's happened to this point is not important. If you're Manhasset, we had a lead, it's now even. If you're Garden City, you don't want to expend so much energy on the comeback and then have no gas left in the tank moving forward. So it's always the next pass, the next slide, the next ground ball, and face-offs. As the higher scoring game becomes, they are more essential for your team's success.
D'Amico to return to the face-off X for Manhasset. Kieran Gunn, the junior, verbal to Brown, off of their historic great season for Garden City.
Don't let the highs get you too high or the lows get you too low.
Miller, 32 in orange, jostles for it. He's still involved in the scrum. So is D'Amico, and D'Amico had it for a moment, and it will belong to Garden City. Tyler Wukta eventually, after that long 30-second battle.
That was a ground ball Manhasset needed to get, because they played a lot of defense. They're tired.
Now for the lead, and they get it from Dillmeyer. Off the feed from Steinbach, and Garden City has climbed all the way out of a 4-goal deficit to grab the lead.
I noted earlier Manhasset several times got hurt in the substitution pattern, and here's another example. Coming out of the box, Manhasset does not match up. Play with your head up. And when you're coming in that wide open, you're screaming for the ball. Wide open, easy layup.
5 unanswered goals in less than 5 minutes by Garden City. An amazing turn of events, and Sean Dillmeyer, one of those seniors that pressed into further action as Garden City had to rework their lineup, losing a couple of key players. Dillmeyer was on the second midfield for the first part of the season. D'Amico had the ball in his stick. Will get a push called, though, against Garden City. So finally the Indians attack, gets it back. The last time they had the ball, they had a seemingly comfortable 5-1 lead.
Excellent job by D'Amico. Stick protection, able to save the possession and draw the push. Bill Cherry told me in the pregame that they practiced in sweatpants up until a couple of weeks ago. They're used to the heat. He thinks the team is in excellent physical shape. So this big push here late in the game, and right now you haven't seen the ball for a while. Get some touches, get it around.
Jack Keogh turns, shoots, tough angle. Not enough of an angle. Off the side of cage, Lucchesi with the ball. Garden City with it and the lead.
Very early in the possession to go one-on-one.
Lucchesi in the middle, wide open is Schmelzinger. We've hit the midway point of the fourth quarter. And Garden City perhaps seeking a improbable county championship. But as we talked about, this team has been galvanized, especially by the sudden and tragic passing in late April by Ed Blatz. They have dedicated the rest of this season to him. The number 14, Blatz's old number, prominently displayed on their jerseys, t-shirts, and hats. And they've openly talked about how much that is fueling and driving them. And here they are with a chance to add to it with 5:20 to go.
We noted earlier what the stalling warning philosophy would be when Manhasset was up 5-1. Now Bill Cherry asking for the stalling warning, particularly when you have a short stick behind the cage defended by a short stick.
Luke Keating will hold against Kyle Cherry, and now the stall warning is in effect. So keep it in the box for Garden City. And now Basile will isolate.
Immediately, number 25, Sorella from Manhasset went to defend the ball. If you're Garden City, you don't need any more goals to win. If you could end with the ball in your stick and win 6-5, that'd be great.
Basile forced into a tough shot. The ball kicked around. It came out of the box, touched by a Manhasset player. So Atkinson, a little unsettled. Loose ball, all alone in the front, and they didn't pass it. Keating had two different options.
Stalling warning still in effect. There was no change of possession. This is where conditioning is such a key factor, because you can't sub if you're Manhasset. If you're Garden City, you can substitute. Very unselfish by Garden City. Looked like they had two players open on the crease. They chose to pull it out. And again, when you get tired, there's a tendency to foul.
Basile continues, and he had Dillmeyer in the front. It'll carry out, and now we'll get the violation. So here come the Indians with 3.5 to go in transition. Keogh, the trailer, it's Gavin from outside. It's blocked by Mangiardo. And a forced shot there from the perimeter gives the ball back to Garden City.
Again, Manhasset playing like there's a shot clock. And this is a great job, the defenseman stepping in. It was 3-on-3, but the possession there is so important. It has to be a great look at the cage.
Looped ahead, Conklin. Chance to go to the front. It's the shot, and it's all alone. Basile, his third of the game.
Excellent job by Jamie Atkinson. There's a time when not to shoot, but when you have this advantage, this is the look. He drives, Basile is money in tight. And defensively, you've got to check sticks while the ball's in flight. If he catches it there, and Garden City puts a huge insurance goal on the board.
Third goal of the fourth quarter for J.P. Basile. And what a coming-of-age game for him. Sean Conklin on the pass. And in that one particular moment, Garden City was aggressive with the shotgun with the face-off win again. Nixon and Basile this time will back it out. Now with the insurance, and Garden City will look to melt some more time off the clock.
Manhasset doubles as they have to. Steve Fennell with a timeout, chooses not to use it.
It is Haggerty out of goal to pick it up an outlet. 2.5 left. Manhasset needs a quick one as they get Schneider here. Roaring there, and the shot hitting the pipe. Great acceleration from Schneider as he released and accelerated. And the ground ball will be recovered by Mixon. Now the Trojans use the timeout with just 2:13 remaining.
The infield fly rule was in effect on that rebound. He clanged the crossbar. Schneider with great speed running hard to the goal. But if you're Lucchese, it's all about positioning right there. Here's the look. And this ball is in the air for a long, long time. The bounce, Garden City able to come up with it. And at high school, you can call timeout in your defensive half of the field, which Steve Fennell chose to do.
The ball finding Chris Mixon. He gets the clear and the timeout. This was a 5-1 game heading into the fourth quarter. J.P. Basile working all game against Thomas Clejon. Finally got a goal, and that seemed to change his entire afternoon.
The initial goal got him started, gave him some great confidence. This one on the missed communication, and then the third one on a great look from Atkinson. And right there, it's all about placement. But Garden City now, Ralph, at 2 minutes, they have to keep the ball in the box. So look for Manhasset to pressure ride and immediately double team. We're 13 seconds away from the mandatory keep it in ruling.
JP, a second-generation Garden City player. Dad, Paul Basile, class of '85, held Garden City records of 96 assists and 137 points set in his senior year. Then went on to play for Navy. Now JP looking for his first county championship. He was in the sideline back when they last won it back in 2013, defeating this Manhasset team 10-4 as an 8th grader, observing, watching the older kids. Now this Garden City bunch is 2:13 away, and they have the ball with Tim Schmelzinger.
Schneider and Schmelzinger, the two fastest players on the team. Manhasset with 1 timeout remaining, and this is a good move. They leave Puccio in there in case they get beat. They can play transition, and now they have to keep it in the box.
Conklin chased by Arnold.
Hey, we gotta go! Hey, we gotta go! Double the ball! Come on!
Met in a double team. Weaves the pass through some traffic. There it is, Sean Dillmeyer. Dillmeyer had the go-ahead goal. Here comes the double team, and Cleage on the pickup. So yet another chance for the Indians.
This is where the insurance goal is so big. Garden City gets back in a deep ride. The clock is in their favor.
The D-Midi Gillen Caliendo seeing Schneider, who was bottled up but eventually races through. And Schneider with his great speed. Out it comes Miller. Chance to step down. And Lucchese with his biggest save of the day.
Follow the head of the stick, low to low. As we approach inside a minute. Step it in, keep it in.
Garden City without a timeout. Basile. And for Conklin. Ball checked out of the box, and the pickup again by Arnold with 40 seconds to go. And Arnold looking for help. Miller, he was bottled up. And Arnold passed it maybe to an unexpected teammate, Dillmeyer, and called for holding the ball against the bodies. That's a turnover. 31 seconds left. And we have a timeout called. They're just reorganizing players that were coming on and off the field.
Manhasset looking for the quick restart here, but Garden City with an opportunity to get their defensive players in the field. They'll look for the quick overpass.
So Caliendo is in. And Cherry, and here comes Keogh with 23 seconds. The Indians need a shot. It's Keogh from the wing. And Gavin is there for the backup with 17.4. Short time for Manhasset to get one more look and then leave some time on the clock for the face-off. And Bill Cherry will use his final timeout to talk about how to quickly get one.
This timeout is for this offensive set, the face-off, and then potentially the defense or offense. And right now, Ralph, you can't dodge to the goal. You have to dodge and feed the crease. It takes too long. So look for them to run a stack play on the crease. The ball's in the far right corner. And it's fascinating how we always coach our players. Let's compete for 48 minutes, play to the final whistle. And Garden City has certainly done that today, facing in what appeared to be an insurmountable lead, not by the number of goals, it was only 5-1, but because of the pace of the game and the Manhasset defense.
For the Trojans again, trailing 5-1, they look down and out. And with what they have gone through, Steve Fennell rallying this team, but this has been something else. You and I were there for the emotions for the Woodstick Classic, having just lost Ed Blatz, and then for them to rally off of that to today has been remarkable.
It's a great story. It embodies what we talk about as far as team, taking care of each other, playing together. And credit both these teams. Clearly the elite teams in Class B for 2016 finished 1-2 in B1. And the first game was a 2-goal win for Garden City, and right now they hold a 2-goal lead. Feed it into the crease.
Keogh outside, maybe a bounce pass looking for Mack. Loose ball behind. Lucchese has it. Cheap clear ahead. And that's going to do it. The Garden City Trojans climb out of a 5-1 hole and win perhaps an improbable county championship. A determined bunch bands together and stuns Manhasset 7-5. 3 goals in 2 minutes and 8 seconds at the start. Sean Dillmeyer's goal from Kyle Steinbach ends up as the winner. Garden City captures another Nassau County championship. We're back with the post-game reaction and the wrap-up on Verizon Fios One Sports. An incredible comeback, one that they're going to remember at Garden City for a long time. The Trojans trailing 5-1 with no life at the start of the fourth quarter. They come back and score 6 times in the fourth to shock the Indians. 7-5 the final. JP Basile started it. He had 3 goals in the fourth. He's on the field with Rich Donovan.
The Nassau County Class B Championship down 5-1 in the fourth quarter, JP. What were you thinking about and what was said during the stoppage of play getting ready to go into the fourth quarter?
Obviously, it was very scary. Got 5-1 down to Manhasset. They're a great team, and it was very scary going into the fourth and the third, not everything with that. But Coach Fennell told us to keep our composure, and our senior leadership, Timmy Schmelzinger, Brian Heffner, and our junior captain, Jamie Atkinson, they talked us through, and we got our chances, and we scored.
The practice, the preparation, culminating in this afternoon's game, how satisfying is this win?
This is the biggest rivalry in high school lacrosse, I think, and there's nothing better. This season has been dedicated to the Blatz family. Eddie Blatz, a Georgetown defenseman, passing away, a huge Garden City player, and this season's just been dedicated to him, and this game is for him.
The little things that you do to win games like this, what made the difference in that crucial fourth quarter?
Just ground balls and sticking our shots.
Congratulations. It was a great win. Back to you, Ralph.
Thank you so much, Rich. And the game for JP Basile, just a junior who wins a county championship for the first time in his career, a second-generation Garden City player. Just gives you a sense of how symbolic and significant it is for someone like him in this community to do it, and this Trojans program as they continue to be galvanized and honor their fallen former teammate, Ed Blatz. 7-5 in an incredible change and turn of events. The Indians' great season comes to an end. It is Garden City that is going back to the Long Island Championship game. That does it for our entire crew today. Here from Schuett Stadium on the campus of Hofstra University. For our entire crew, our producer and director, Frank Lasquadro, our stats man, Brian Cohen. For my partner, Rich Donovan, I'm Ralph Bednarczyk, thanking you for watching continuing coverage of the Nassau County playoffs, all on Verizon Fios One Sports.
This has been a special presentation of Verizon Fios One Sports.